I don't believe many of us have started a business for money. I think we all start our business because of a certain drive we feel, a certain impact we want to make, and desires we have. Yet I have noticed that at a certain point, a lot of people quit their business. Statistically, it's been proven that like over 50% of businesses go bankrupt in the first 5 years, or they stop their business in the first 5 years because of cash flow issues. But I have not seen a lot of research yet talking about how people just stop their business because it's just not feeling aligned anymore. And when I throw words around like aligned and freedom and values, I feel like it feels like we're playing bullshit bingo, where like we can say as many as possible online business guru words and it will be like, ting, 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 you gotta take a shot. But I do want to talk about it today because I actually do something with myself that's kind of like a freedom audit every quarter. And I want to talk to you about it because I know that when we postpone checking in with ourselves as we're growing our business, it can really start hurting if you see all of these things too late. Hello, and welcome to Fail to Win, the show where we love to make mistakes and learn from them so you can turn your passion into profits and live life on your own terms. I'm Amy van der Putten from FastForwardAmy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode with simple strategies every Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about why people get stuck in their business even when things are going well or well-ish, or maybe the money is there. Because a lot of people get stuck in their business not because they're not working hard or because, what they do isn't good, but it's because they are drifting away from what they actually wanted to build. So they're often building what they think they should build or what people are asking of them instead of the business they actually want. And I've gone through this pattern a couple of times. And as I said, I have to watch out for this. And every single quarter, I sit down with myself to do an exercise about this. And so today I want to gift you that exercise. So if you've been feeling like, wow, I have even less freedom than when I was in my 9 to 5, because now I have a 24/7. Or maybe you're feeling like you're busy but not happy. Or maybe you're just waking up and like dreading your day because it's filled with stuff you don't actually want to do. We're going to have to look at the freedom drift. Here's the pattern I see all the time. You start a business for freedom. You're excited. You want to make an impact. You're aligned. You want to do the thing you're secretly good at and you want to, gift it to the world. And then as you grow your business, slowly, your calendar starts filling up with things you actually didn't sign up for. Admin, especially if you live in Belgium, the government is like almost a full-time job to handle all of that as a self-employed person. You start outsourcing things because you want to, get a couple of people on board to take things away from your plate, and all of a sudden you find yourself in meetings. You have clients because you really want to make an impact on people and help people. And then all of a sudden you're managing all of the onboarding, the appointments, the dates, reshuffling appointments. And then we're not even talking yet about the delivery, because maybe you love working with people, but every time you walk out of a meeting, you find yourself having to work on custom guides and things. And you're looking at your calendar and you're thinking, I don't have that many clients, or I don't have that many orders, do I? Or like my bank account's not overflowing, yet you are just, your business looks impressive to other people, but to you, it just feels like it's really heavy and like you are never done. So if you recognize in any of what we were just talking about, any examples that might be applicable to you, today we're going to talk about this, because I want to prevent that you wake up one day and you think, wait, why did I start this again? Should I just go back to working for a boss? Because I believe being your own boss is one of the most wonderful things out there, but only if you take it really seriously, that when you are your own boss, you also have to carry the responsibility of designing the ideal role for you. So if you've been, feeling a little bit disconnected from what you actually wanted, this is what I call the freedom drift. You didn't necessarily choose it. It's not your fault, but it happened by default. And so the solution to this is the quarterly freedom audit. Every single quarter, you go and sit down and you ask yourself, am I building the business I want? Or am I building the business I think I should want? Because if you don't continue to do this intentionally and you check yourself, you're going to see that your business is going to shape you instead of the other way around. And I know this almost sounds too good to be true because, there's a lot of memes out there about like being a business owner and you work 24/7 and all of that. But Honestly, it doesn't have to be that way. As I'm recording this, I'm literally looking at the palm trees outside. And after I finish this podcast, I'm going to lie on the beach in a bikini for an hour because I've finished all of my recordings for the day. You get to have a freedom-based business, but it doesn't happen by accident. You have to be really intentional about what your goals are. And a lot of people, they set a monetary goal or they get caught up in stuff in their business, but they forget to actually check in with themselves what type of business owner they want to be in the business they're building. So here's a 3-layer check-in you can do. And let's do this every quarter, right? At the end of the quarter or the beginning of the quarter, just carve out some time with yourself. Jonathan and I, we are now doing like a quarterly weekend where we're checking in with our goals and our vision together. And I think it's wonderful, but it does require some dedication to actually do it. Because last year we tried to do it. And then after a year had passed, we were like, oh shit, we actually didn't do a quarterly check-in because there was always something else to do. So now I really blocked it out in our calendar. The first question you're going to ask yourself as a business owner, by the way, you don't have to do this with your partner. That's just something we also do. But the first question you're going to ask yourself is, who am I right now? Not who you were 2 years ago, not who you were when you first started, who you are now. Because when I got started as a business owner, I was into fitness and I had a lot of energy and I wanted to see people all the time. But right now I'm much more introverted and I've discovered, for example, that I don't love working with people one-on-one all the time. I love working with groups. I've also discovered that I don't actually although I love people, I love my introverted days. So you're going to ask yourself, do I still want the same lifestyle? What is the lifestyle I want? Do I still want the same pace? For me, for example, I've been in business for 10 years now, and it's almost difficult to admit, but I don't think you'll be surprised, but I'm just not willing to pay the same price I was willing to pay for my business as in the first couple of years, because I value my relationship a lot more. I value my health a lot more. And if anything, I wish I could go back and tell previous Amy this, or past Amy, because she didn't know yet that the pace she was running at was just gonna cost her cortisol levels. So do I still want the same pace? For me, that's a definite no. I don't want the same pace as 5 years ago. An example of that was I used to not mind launching on a Sunday, going live on Instagram. Right now, I really don't do evenings and weekends anymore unless I really, really want to, or it's a unique opportunity. Max once a quarter, I'll do something like that, but I don't want that anymore. Do you still want the same type of work? What do you value most right now? Is it time, money, peace, impact, travel, health? When I'm traveling a lot, I will, do less other types of things. I'm in a season currently where I really value my relationship. I think I value my relationship and my health more than I value money, for example. So yeah, it's not worth it to me to make another story or to do the launch on a Sunday evening if I could be sitting at the dinner table with my family. And you're allowed to evolve too, but your business won't magically evolve with you unless you tell it to. So that's why the first check-in, who are you right now, is so important. Maybe you became a mom or you're planning to become a mom. Maybe you're redesigning your whole business because you just know that the pace you're going at is just not something you can keep up with. The second question you're going to ask yourself is, what do I actually want? And be brutally honest here. Not what sounds good, what Instagram says, what my coach said, what might make my parents proud, but what do you want your days to feel like? Do you want deep work and quiet? I love coaching, and I also noticed a while back that I'm really thriving on creating other types of products that I can just low ticket offers that people can just watch whenever they want. I really love writing, but when I'm always surrounded by people and I have meetings, full days of meetings, I just can't hear my own voice anymore. So if I'm being really honest, what I want my days to feel like, or what I want my weeks to feel like, I would love it if there's a maximum of 2.5 days of peopling, 2.5 days of no peopling. That means I want 2 days where I can do deep work or creative work by myself. Like today, I have a full day of creation. And after this podcast, I'm going outside, just literally lie on the beach. And then when I'm lying on the beach, I'll probably get ideas that will make the work I do the hour after that, even better and faster, because that's just how I recharge. So do you want deep work and quiet? Do you want to be around people and energy more? Do you want an office space? Do you want more creative time? Do you want less delivery? How are you feeling about one-on-one, one-to groups? Do you want to get coached as much as you're getting coached? Like, I found myself considering buying another coaching program, and I was like, but do I want all of this coaching time, or do I just want white space? Do you want a small team or a big team? I know a lot of people who want a team, but they're afraid to carry it. But you can also ask yourself, okay, if you want a team, what would that look like to you? Like, you don't have to do meetings with your team every day if that's not the type of format you want to set up. And then the last question you're going to ask yourself after you've asked yourself, who am I right now? And what do I actually want? The third one is, what did I start this for? And this is the one a lot of people avoid because it confronts them. Why did you start the business? To be with your kids more? But you're distracted as you're putting them in bed and you're never picking them up from school when that was actually the thing you wanted. You're chasing money and you're letting someone else pick up the kids, but you wanted the money so you could pick up the kids. So, like, are the values in the right order? Why did you start the business? Was it freedom? Was it flexibility? Was it creativity, helping people, money, travel? And then look at your current reality. Does your calendar currently reflect that reason, or is it the opposite? And so I do this freedom audit at least every quarter. And in every phase of my business, I've had to do this because I felt myself drifting as a recovering people pleaser and someone who loves people and loves coaching. It is so easy for me to always say yes to other people. But then if you do that for a really long time, you start subconsciously saying no to yourself. And so one of the ways this has shown up in a pattern for me is one with clients, where clients, get me something. I have people I work with one-on-one and they get me reviews by Wednesday evening. And what was happening a lot is people would all message me and send me reviews at like 6:15 on a Friday. And the people pleaser in me is like, oh, I can still do this, but it's not because I can that I should. And it's not aligned with the freedom-based business I've been wanting to build. So I've really installed systems and boundaries in my business where I'm like, well, then I'll get it back to you by next week's review date because you got it to me after the review deadline. And that's really hard for me, but I just felt like I was crossing my boundaries for other people. And then I was stuck, overthinking their shit and being late for a date with Jonathan. And then they wouldn't get back to me for 5 days. And I was like, why was I doing that again? Oh yeah, because of people pleasing, not because of what you actually truly wanted. Something else is with my team. I think it's really important to talk to my team on the regular to help them grow. I want everyone who's ever worked for me to say like, that was the best decision of my life, even if they end up leaving at some point. And so one of the ways I do that is by talking to them. And I have these growth conversations with them. I do them every quarter. And I noticed that I felt this pressure to be physically present to do them. But my biggest goal is freedom. One of my biggest values is like freedom, family. And so I had, I have like a weekend in Dublin with friends. By the time this podcast comes out, I will have already been in Dublin. And so I don't have to ask anyone for permission to go there. I am just going to do my work. I'm going to do the coaching calls I have planned, and I have these conversations with my team. But there was this voice inside of me that was almost like, shouldn't you be present to do those, like physically? And I was like, no, fuck that. Like, I built my business to be a location independent business. I get to be like a really good boss and leader, and it does not require me to be physically there. And my biggest wish was to build a location independent business. And so just for me, location independence has been such a big one. It was my dream to build a business that would allow me the financial freedom and physical freedom to do all of this. But it's so easy to forget that or to get sidetracked. So that's why I'm recording this episode, because I know how easy it is to like slip and slide, and all of a sudden you find yourself not working in the business you set out to build. And that's because as a business owner, it's so great that you're responsible for everything. But when you are tired and no one tells you like, hey, why are you doing this? It's also so difficult to make changes when you're tired. And that's why I kind of like wanted to coach you through this a little bit as your coach, to like empower you that you do get to build a business that does not suck. And I think a lot of people online talk about freedom-based businesses, and we're not even talking about sales. And of course, ads and funnels can give you more freedom, but I'm just talking about, do you love your business? Like, I would call it like love business? Do you love the business you're building? Because you spend so much of your life working with your colleagues, with your clients. I hope you have clients you love. I hope you have a business you love. I hope you have, content you love, because you deserve that. You deserve to make an impact on the world and at the same time impact yourself in such a positive way. So here's a couple of examples of what we can check out, like to see if it's going well. So let's say you love working with people, but you find yourself doing admin and ops so often. That doesn't necessarily mean you're stuck, but you've just misallocated some time and resources. So what you can do here is you can outsource some admin, create some SOPs, automate some systems, and protect your client-facing time. Get better at the people part. That is literally your gift. So for me, for example, I have had a lot of work recently, and I was in this leadership training because I really wanted to become like a better coach, better leader, all of that. I'm constantly working on that. And I found myself trying to get better at execution. But I was like, I'm actually not really that good at execution, but I am really good at people. So what if I spend a bit more of my time on the people part so that they get to spend time on the execution part? Because that's actually my zone of genius, is to do the thing with the people. And then the creativity part requires a lot of white space. So example 2, let's talk about white space. Let's say you're an introvert and you started doing workshops about introversion, and all of a sudden you find yourself doing 3 in-person workshops a week and having a bunch of meetings to set up the workshop. That's actually kind of like a self-betrayal. So maybe your delivery that you actually secretly desire doesn't match your nervous system. So maybe you should, reformat your business model to have a more of an asynchronous delivery, to have a live workshop where it's just you presenting a webinar instead of seeing all of the faces on Zoom. For me, I really love seeing the faces on Zoom. I love that more than just like having a random chat. And I love rooms full of people, but it exhausts me if I do that every day or every week. But I could easily do an Instagram live or a webinar every week, because I'm just putting out content. I don't have to pull in everything else. So look at the way you're delivering. Maybe you can include more digital products, self-assessment tools, and just like have less constant live performance. Repeat after me. You are allowed to reformat your business in a way that fits you, not society or not what the gurus want you to do in your business. It does not always have to be smart even. I mean, we love it when it's smart, but you get to build a business that fits you. And this is a big one, and I see this happening so often for multi-six-figure earners. You want a team to support you, but you're spending your whole life in team meetings and Slack messages. So the team you got to support you to take some workload away is now actually both costing you money and time. What I did there, and I have an amazing team, I just noticed myself that I do have to spend time on the stuff I'm really, really good at, which is like creation, coaching, all of that stuff, strategy. I really had to batch my team time. So I've batched it into max 1 to 2 days. I have Tuesday afternoons and Friday where we do a check-in. If needed, we add a strategy block Tuesday mornings, but we do that very, very sparingly. So make sure you batch your team time into less time, and maybe just like check Slack once or twice a day. And don't always be on. It used to be really difficult. My team would need me all of the time, until I also taught them like, oh, you can give me a call during office hours. So I started by setting up office hours at the end of the day. And then after a while, they didn't need that anymore. And now we just work in a very asynchronous way. And then we do what we need to do in meetings. There's also a lot of entrepreneurs online who don't do meetings. We also tend to like not do a lot of meetings. I do enjoy spending some time with my team, and I like connecting with them, and I don't mind doing that in some meetings, just not all the time. So make sure you're using SOPs, have a weekly way to check in, make sure you have really clear ownership, because you don't want to become the human FAQ in your business. And honestly, I wish I would have started on building like a CEO dashboard, like a business dashboard, a lot sooner. CEO dashboard for me, by the way, is my dashboard where I track all of my finances, KPIs. The business dashboards, whoops. There's someone at the door. Let me go and check. This is like the biggest downside. Wait 1 second. Okay, I'm back and I cut a part out. I think it's quite funny to keep that in there, actually. I think I was going to say the biggest downside of the location independence, which is something you kind of have to just accept is, the phone just ringing. You just, in the hotel, you just really can't really stop them from disturbing you. So yeah, but I'll take the palm trees and the bikini outside over being stuck in a stuffy office. So what was I saying? Yeah, so my CEO dashboard, that's where I track all of my finances and KPIs. My business dashboard is actually something I've started building only recently. I wish I would have started building it sooner and stuck to it, which is where I keep all of my SOPs per department. And I just started realizing in my business, way too many people were answering questions ad hoc. And when you have some team changes, you really have to make sure that it's not, that you're not always going in to fix the problems. And I wasn't necessarily fixing the problems they were executing, but I found myself just being annoyed by the same problems happening over and over again. And I hadn't had that in 2 years because our team was smaller. It's now that the team was starting to grow. I was like, oh no, I don't want to have to deal with all of this again. And we have all of this somewhere, but it was just like, not everything was updated. They couldn't find all of the things. And I was like, well, I'm not giving up my weekends or evenings. So let's write it all down. So once you see the mismatch, let's make sure you change your business using some, what I call freedom levers. There are 5. So one is your offer freedom. What are you selling and how often are you selling it? For example, one of my clients was doing a launch every single month and it was exhausting her. And then we looked at her lead gen and all of it. And I was like, what if you did the launch once a quarter, but we just made, we got so many more leads in. And that really helped her because now she was actually not doing all the things all at the same time, but she was able to focus a month on lead gen, a month on sales, a month on delivery, which made it a lot better. The second is delivery freedom. How do your clients get results without you having to be on 24/7? What if people could support you? What if some of your knowledge could be turned into self-paced stuff? For example, for me, I have a 21-day challenge, and once or twice a year, I host this live. But in all other months of the year, people can buy this from me, but they can follow it self-paced. The third is calendar freedom. How is your week structured? Are you batching? Are you installing CEO blocks for strategy? For me, I could easily record one podcast a week, do one check-in video for my clients a week, one, and then everything is going to cost me so much time. So for my podcast, for my business club videos where I make a weekly check-in, I try to all batch these. I'm currently trying to do it per month. So that means 4 at the same time. I have been struggling with that. So sometimes it's 2 or 3 at the same time, but there's still so much more margin there because I'm batching it and you don't always have to context switch. The fourth is team freedom. Make sure you know who owns what. So you stop carrying everything. You need to know who's responsible for what. And the fifth is nervous system freedom. And this is one, unfortunately, we all crash and burn in, but we need to create a business model for you that you can sustain without burnout. And that doesn't mean not working. For example, a lot of people hate launching, right? I actually love selling. I love launching. I just can't do it all the time, every evening, every weekend. So you don't need to change everything at once. Just pick the biggest mismatch of the 5 I just mentioned: offer, delivery, calendar, team, and nervous system, and fix that first. And by the way, I didn't talk about client freedom, but I just want to point out as a 6th lever that you are allowed to quit working with people you get really stressed by. I struggle with this, but sometimes there's just a mismatch and then you can talk about that. So here's your homework, your 15-minute quarterly reset. So let's open your calendar, look at the last 2 weeks, and just simply answer, what gave you energy? What drained you? What are you doing that someone else actually could do? What are you doing that you shouldn't be doing at all? And which simple change would buy you the most freedom next quarter? Just make one decision, put it in your calendar, and maybe it could just be blocking off your Monday mornings. Maybe it could be moving your meetings from mornings to afternoons, whatever. Just make sure that you don't hope for freedom or you hope until things are going to slow down, because you design your freedom. And if this episode hit you and you're like, well, Amy, I want to get started on this. I want to reformat my weeks. I just don't really know how to get started. I've been teaching this for over 6 years, this format of how you do the freedom audit and how you build out your weeks and your energy. And I've only gotten better and better at it. And lately AI has entered the game, and with the help of ChatGPT, you get to design your ideal freedom-based work week in such a fast way, completely matched to your energy. And if you know, for example, DISC or Insights or any of that, you know that you might have more yellow or red or blue or green in your character. And so what I've discovered is I can have the same work day where I work a full day in like the blue and the green zone, and I can be really, really drained by the end of the day. But I can have a really like yellow, red day, and I feel alive after the same amount of hours of work. And that's because I have to really consciously design my work days and weeks according to who I am and what I love. And that changes over time. If you want to craft or like create your own ideal week, I made a printable and a full ChatGPT prompt that you can implement right away. Just answer a couple of questions and it's going to create your ideal work week with you, so it matches your energy, your life, and the work you're actually putting out there. All you have to do is go to the link in the description of this episode or comment ideal week on my Instagram account. So ideal week, all one word. And we're going to send you the guide and the prompt so you get to design your ideal work week. And obviously you can tweak that to become months or days or whatever. I know everyone is different. That's also why I really stand for freedom, and freedom is different for everyone. What I do know is that freedom doesn't get created by accident. You don't create it by hoping that things will slow down or that it will get better. You have to be really, really intentional about the type of business and freedom and life you want to build. So here I am giving you permission to focus on that and just go and grab the template plus prompt and report back to me how it went. Okay. Good luck and talk soon. And by the way, if you've been into this and you haven't heard about my program, I have the Business Freedom Elevator, which is my best-selling program. Almost 2,000 people have followed this program. It's really, really amazing. If you're interested in it, I'll link it in the description of this episode, but it contains all of the skills, including the skills we talked about today, to build a business that actually gives you energy and freedom for the rest of your life. So we can finally quiet that little voice in your head that's saying, shouldn't I just go back to working for a boss? No, you are the boss. You just gotta get better at being your own boss, okay? And that requires some intention. Message me Elevator if you want more information. And see you on the inside of my programs. If you have any questions, let me know. And I hope you go ahead and go and fill out that ideal week template. Bye.
They say running a business is getting harder and harder because you can be amazing at what you do, but if you don't know how to actually run the business side of things, you won't actually make it past year 5. Now, I've been in business for the past 10 years, and trust me, I have made a lot of mistakes. But luckily, I've learned a lot of things as well. And throughout the years, I've discovered that there are 9 skills every entrepreneur needs in order to actually grow their business in a sustainable way. And I can teach you how to do this and grow your business to 5K, 10K a month, all without a team or really fancy systems. When you apply these principles, you won't be feeling like you're in survival mode anymore at the beginning of each month, or like you're afraid to open up your mailbox, or that secret voice in your brain that goes, should I go back to working for a boss? It is going to disappear because once you have these 9 principles, everything is going to get easier. And that is why, to celebrate my 10 years of entrepreneurship and my 33rd birthday, I am bringing back my best-selling program, the Business Freedom Elevator, which has been followed by over 1,900 entrepreneurs. And I want to celebrate my birthday with you. So if you're interested to learn the 9 essential entrepreneurial skills every business owner needs in order to go from having a dream to actually having a full-time paycheck without losing your freedom, make sure you go and grab lifetime access to my program. And as a bonus, you're going to get 3 days of live coaching where we're going to fast track your success for this year. Go to the link in the description and I'd love to see you there. And if you have any questions, just send me a message on Instagram. I don't bite.